Jeri Goldstein is the president and founder of Performing Biz. She is an artist career development expert helping musicians, performing artists, agents, and managers. She is the author of the award-winning book, How to Be Your Own Booking Agent, and also The Tiny Guide to Huge Success. Hi everybody, this is Deborah E, and welcome to another interview on Seaside Records. Today we will be featuring Jeri Goldstein, a professional beyond a professional. I first met Jeri through Madeline Sklar and the weekly GG Chat Twitter chat. She has been so instrumental in helping myself as well as other musicians with her timely tips on how we can promote our music and her encouragement. Join me now as we go to the Seaside Records interview of Jeri Goldstein. So glad to have you here, Jeri. Thank you for joining us.
Well, hi, Deborah. It's great to be with you today.
You've been involved in many aspects of the music industry. What are your areas of expertise?
You know, I started out being a promoter at a college coffee house, and that kind of got me sparked about working with artists, and eventually became a booking agent, and then eventually a manager for a number of artists who were touring nationally and internationally. My experience working at the college coffee house helped me to get more excited about doing some concert promotion as well. So I had been working as a concert promoter for a while, and all the while continuing to help these various artists become national and international touring artists. So that's been had a great time doing that for about 20 years. During that time with my artists, I also became a publisher and was working in publishing to help the artists get their music out into the world, and actually had a number of good covers by a couple of major artists for some.
Are you able to share?
Say that again?
Can you share any like name dropping on any of the?
No. Well, I would say that like one cover was with I was with BMI for a while, so one cover was with Tom T. Hall, and one cover was with Emmylou Harris. So that was great for artists that I had been working with for 20 years, Robin and Linda Williams. So after that, I stopped being a booking agent and thought I'd like to do something else, and actually is on my 20th anniversary of being an agent, and decided, well, how am I going to celebrate? And decided that I was going to quit.
Wow!
So I quit being an agent, and then spent about 2 years writing my first book, How to Be Your Own Booking Agent. And so had to get involved with publishing on the book side of things, as opposed to the music business side of things, and learned a lot about the publishing industry. And many of the things I learned were very similar to the music publishing industry as well. So then, so I've been doing book publishing and marketing my books, and got involved with internet marketing to help to market the books, and then working as a consultant for artists and doing artist career development, which is what I'm doing now, online seminars, live seminars. So taking it from all the stuff that I had learned while I was being a concert promoter and a booking agent and a manager, and helping to translate that into artist career development strategies and information.
So you went from booking to actually writing books. I just thought it was
right.
interesting. Is there a lot of carryover similarity as far as the promotion end of it on the concerts to the promotion end for your books? Do you find?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the nice things about having understood a great deal about concert and artist marketing, that was able to translate very nicely and very easily, in fact, even more effectively, because instead of dealing with live artist careers, I was dealing with, you know, the marketing of a product, and some of the expertise that I had in helping to market the artist really flowed very nicely into marketing my own product and myself as the expert in the field. So it was really using all of what I had learned over the course of the 20 years in music promotion and music marketing, translated incredibly well to book publishing and book marketing.
And I've heard some people say that even on the product marketing, it's almost easier to have a product or even a coaching series versus a brand. Do you find that to be the case?
I think that it's really important to create the brand as well, because the brand makes it easier for you to do the marketing, as well as the other side of it is understanding who the audience is that you're trying to market to. That makes both the brand and the product marketing even easier.
That is so key, knowing your audience.
Know your audience. I mean, and I think that that's one of those aspects that so many publishers and artists and business owners tend to forget or not pay enough attention to in building their own brand as a business, as an artist, as a publisher, whatever the focus is. That understanding intimately and very specifically who your audience is and what their needs are and what's going to get them excited about what you're offering, as opposed to buy me, buy me, buy me, or buy my stuff, buy my stuff. It's like presenting value. How do you present value for what you have by understanding what their needs are?
Exactly. And it seems that the audience used to be the fan base for the musicians that you're promoting, and it's actually shifted. So now your audience is the musicians that you were previously promoting.
Right. Yeah. So well, and because I understand that audience so well, having worked with the artists for 20 years in all different genres of music and performing arts, I'm really able to tap into the artist's needs for what they're going through and what they're looking for, especially in the realm of booking and touring and getting the great gigs that they're wanting to get. Exactly.
That makes your books all the more valuable. I love reading your little book. That is great. I can take it on my iPad everywhere.
Oh, my tiny guide to huge success. Yeah, you like those 100 biz-boosting hot tips to ignite your performing career, eh?
Exactly, and they're bite-sized enough that you can get a lot of meat in a few words, especially with your expertise, Jeri.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I was starting to do that, they all started out as audio hot tips 5 years ago. And I just had this idea, and so I started writing them and then recording them as audio tips, and eventually thought, my goodness, I have like over 300-400 of these tips. And this year in December, actually, on one of our chat, our Go Girls tweet chats, somebody said, "What's your next project?" And after that incident, I just thought, I can make this into my next project. And so that's when I decided to gather up about 100 of them and put them out. And now I'm still writing those, and they're still going out every Monday morning. So I'll be doing a volume a year, another 100 a year. Yeah. So
excellent. With all of your experience as an author and artist development, what would you say your areas of expertise in working with artists?
I focus on booking and touring strategies, helping artists understand how to market themselves to the specific venue type that they are suited for. So booking, touring strategies, how to get gigs, how to take what you're doing right now and transform your marketing, transform your touring to be better than what it is you're doing. And sometimes my work with artists helps them to recognize areas of venues or the types of venues or marketplaces that they thought they belonged into, and transform them into totally new arenas for themselves, expanding their audience and expanding their capabilities of reaching new audiences with new aspects of their talent. You know,
That
so
is
many
excellent.
artists I find, you know, are very tunnel vision focused on one aspect of what they're doing. If they're playing concerts, then they think, well, we're supposed to be playing concerts in a bar, and that's all that they know. And I kind of come in and help them to expand their horizons by recognizing more of their talents. You know, how can they take all of the things that they really know and play in places that they never thought would be a logical place for them to play, and give them new opportunities to, you know, increase their income as well as increase their fan base, their audience base, and the possibilities of who to perform to.
That's key. It's interesting you said expand your horizons. I was just thinking that phrase right before you said it. And I've watched different music interviews, and Bob Baker is one of them, and heard about this gal that was playing in the subway in New York.
Right.
And things like that I wouldn't necessarily think of on top of the list, but it's actually working, and she's making some good money on that. Is that the type of thing you really kind of go outside the box, like you said, takes them away from that tunnel vision? It seems like a lot of us musicians think we know who we are, where we can go, and then we realize that there is a whole nother world that's open to us, and you help them identify.
One of the things that I particularly love doing is helping artists find their own unique niche markets, by looking at areas that are so far out of a performance avenue that they would never think that could actually end up being a viable source of income. And so, for instance, one example might be, I had some clients years ago, and she was an oncology nurse, but played bluegrass music. So she got invited with her husband to play at the regional or the state nurses convention, and they were so well received that they got invited to play at the state convention, and then got invited to play at the regional convention. And over the course of time, because these folks organizing this particular convention didn't know about booking agents, didn't know that there's like a bazillion other artists out there. They knew them because they were the ones that were promoted from within. You know, it was like a word of mouth explosion of knowledge, so that they were getting calls and eventually increased their income and their performances by doing healthcare events more than 50% of the year. And so that was the healthcare niche. And there's a lot of artists that have experiences that they have been experiences or interests or affiliations that they are involved with, that they don't see the connection of how they can actually transform that connection into an actual income stream and performance venue, because it's not a normal performance venue.
And there's that give kind of feeling, that feel-good feeling of being able to give back. And it sounds like with this nurse being an oncology nurse, that was almost more fulfilling because it kind of blended her interest and the music and be able to share on that.
Exactly. And I think that one of the things that I'm particularly interested in is helping artists to recognize that extra bit of affinity with something that also gives them a higher purpose. You know, it's one thing to be playing gigs and playing gigs for good money, and it's another thing to be playing gigs for good purpose while also making good money. And in many cases, more and more of the artists that I work with to transform them, transition them, and add this niche focus onto their income stream potential are finding themselves being so well fulfilled in how they are now sharing their art with people who are both appreciative. They're getting paid well, but they're making a difference, you know,
Exactly.
and they're having greater meaning to their craft. That's what I love. You know, that's you know, it's an area that I've spent a lot of time focusing on and helping other artists to recognize what are those things they care about. You know, how are they going to move from doing a gig to doing something that's fulfilling with their music?
That's so key, that it feeds the artist as well, which allows them to then give more of their heart, more of their feeling
Right.
To the audience. That is so key.
Yeah, it's great for both sides. And the biggest piece of the puzzle is that it generally makes the booking process the thing that the artists actually hate the most, making those phone calls and trying to get those gigs, which is so hard for them because it means they're selling themselves. This niche marketing process changes the dynamic of that, because it's almost like the people within your niche, you become the hometown hero. You become, the artist becomes the one that only the people in the niche really know about, because they don't know about all the other artists that have the possibility, because this is the artist that cares about us. So now we're going to call them. So they end up getting referrals, recommended, you know, getting the calls instead of having to make the calls. So it's a brilliant way of creating an amazing career. You know, and I know a number of artists who have transformed their little gigs into, you know, pretty hefty income streams of having just working in this arena.
You're absolutely right. I dread picking up the phone and saying, "Oh, will you please, you know, interview Deborah E." And I'm all that. You know, I don't like bragging about myself, but when I can call someone up and say, "I'd really like to encourage people to think positively, to hug their neighbor," you know, if they're a huggy person, I'm a huggy person, but to be able to encourage people in the positive. Now I simply am Deborah E. that's encouraging people rather than it's all about me. And you're so right on that it's helpful when you're actually focusing on the giving aspect.
Right.
And the artist is a part of that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
Now you have so many online articles, tips, and I'm going to include that at the end of this video, how people can subscribe. I assume that we can subscribe to the weekly tips. And
Yep.
Go ahead.
So just going to performingbiz.com, and that's performingbiz with a B-I-Z at the end of it, and right there you can just sign up, and then you'll start getting my weekly Monday morning Biz Booster hot tips and a couple of other little things to help you start getting on track with creating better booking strategies for yourself. And right there, you'll also be able to tap into my articles and other resources that I've got.
And could you tell us about your books as well? You had a bestseller, is that correct?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was #1 in the music business.
That's bestseller. That's
it was for quite a bit of time. So that's How to Be Your Own Booking Agent, and that one is the book that I wrote right after stopping being a booking agent and an artist manager, and it's being used by Berklee College of Music and a number of other music business courses as a textbook for their booking and touring courses, teaching artists how to do artist management and artist agenting, and it's been used for years now at Berklee College and Musicians Institute, and even a couple of colleges in Canada. So
excellent. I was thinking, I took recording engineering at the Los Angeles Recording Workshop, like,
there you go.
I don't even want to say how many years ago, but it was some decades.
Yeah,
The music business at that time was, here's a piece of paper, this is called a contract, and we've moved beyond that point. So I'm sure that the Berklee School of Music really appreciates your expertise and be able to use that in their classes.
Yeah. So I guess maybe Musicians Institute, which is in LA, you might have heard about that.
Yes. Yes. I just have been doing more on the music end of it than the education end of it, but we can always learn daily, and that's where visiting your website is an excellent resource as far as getting hold of those biz tips.
Biz Booster hot tips.
Thank you. I knew if I said it wrong that then you'd correct me, and I wanted to hear you say it again.
Yeah, Biz Booster hot tips. That's
I love
right.
that, Biz Booster. That's great.
Yep, yep.
Now, you've done... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that that's what I'm all about, helping artists boost their business.
Excellent, excellent. Now, you've done some work with some local organizations as far as community outreach type programs?
Yeah, it was interesting, you know, over the course of the last few years, I really wanted to help to share some of the expertise that I had with local organizations. So this particular year, I had set a goal for myself to kind of reach out, and one of the organizations that I'm working with currently is an arts council that's here locally in my own county, and I've been working with them to help them get their website going. We did a one of those talent contests, and I was a judge on that, you know, and it was really fun. But the other organization that I'm very excited about is here in my hometown in Charlottesville, Virginia, where we have the Musicians Resource Center, and it's basically an after-school program for high school kids, and it's been transformed into like recording studios and classrooms, and they essentially give young kids an opportunity to learn how to do songwriting and all kinds of different instrument lessons, and learning how to use the recording engineering booth and creating bands and all of that. And so this year I've been working with them. I did a little 5-day course for them on stage presence, and I'm going to be working with them again during the fall. They have an intensive course, but it's an organization that takes kids and helps them to get into something that they really care about, and music being one of those exciting areas that keeps them off the street. It helps them to learn how to express their artistic, creative selves. And just meeting up with some of these kids, it's just amazing to see how far they've come and how good some of them really are. I mean, they do everything by, you know, about having battle of the bands, and so that's been really fun for me to get involved with something that's so meaningful to the kids and help in the way that I can. I'm not a musician, so it's really hard for me to, you know, teach the craft, but I can teach the business part. So, you know, it's nice to start them early, learning about marketing, learning about any other kind of aspects that might influence them, because there's a couple of kids that I met even just this last time. They are going on to Berklee College of Music. They are going on to some of the major, you know, schools to help them take their career even further. But it all, you know, it really helped for them to be part of this organization.
Well, and that gives, I love the opportunity to be able to encourage kids. I mean, you see their little faces brighten and to have hope and a goal, and so that's a good aspect to be able to help the children. And you know, they're a little bit ahead of us, Jeri, as far as the marketing. I mean, there was no Facebook 20 years ago. So
I mean, you know, I sit in there, and half the time, you know, they're so far ahead about what they're posting, and that they've already got YouTube videos, and they've already got, you know, things happening that we never would have had that opportunity. So it's very exciting to tap into that and help them to, you know, share some of the information that I've got to offer at an early start, you know, instead of working with artists that are already established and you know, well, didn't have that opportunity when they were younger. So it's great, and a lot of the things that the people in our community, we have some very famous artists here that have contributed and made it possible for this organization to really keep going. So
that is wonderful.
they get a lot of support from some big bands. You know, it's really great.
And I suppose they love it too. It's like, wow, I know so and so helped me, and to be able to remember that where they started, and not so much
Right.
where they started, but that someone was there for them. I think that must be very meaningful for the kids.
It is. It's really great. It's really great.
Such a great age. I remember when I first started out, I was kicking out songs, multiple songs per day, and I thought I was just, the best thing since sliced bread. Now I look at it and go, I would not let anyone hear what I produced back then.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the kids when they're young. They're not afraid, it seems, as what people think. So they're at a great age to be able to just create and just put it out there and to be encouraged and to have people like yourself to be able to stand beside them and encourage them in a good direction. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really gratifying.
So what would you recommend to artists as far as outreach in their communities?
I think that in so many instances, artists are always the ones that are asked to do benefits, and they're always being asked to do them for free. And I really, this is like one of my pet peeves here, because I really feel like artists, in so many instances, unless they're major recording artists or major artists that have a very viable career, are the ones that really can't afford to do every benefit for free. But I really encourage artists to tap into something they care about. If there's an organization that you really care about, if there's some cause that you really care about, that decide that first, rather than just popping onto every benefit that somebody calls about. Decide what are your favorites. Do you care about the food bank? Do you care about breast cancer? Do you care about AIDS? Children's event, situations, environment, whatever it is that really gets you enthusiastic about helping. Choose that one organization and contact them. Talk to them up front and say, I'd like to be involved with you, and lay out a plan for doing something where they can get sponsors to help pay for a fee for you, but you also help them create a plan of action on how you're going to do a bigger, a better event than just, everybody, oh, let's just put on an event because something just happened. I see so many, and I've actually, as a concert promoter, created events that were so, cost me a lot of time, a lot of energy, but didn't make the kind of money that we wanted for the end organization. So I really encourage artists to come up with a plan, help the organization create a budget so that you have an end goal, so that they're going after something, so that they have people working on it with you, so that you're not just asked to kind of sign up, be the person, come on the date of the show, walk on stage, and then there's nobody in the audience, or there's no money, the money wasn't raised that needed to be raised. So I really, the artists that have really targeted organizations that are meaningful to them, that I've worked with, have created multiple concerts, multiple events in a community or around a region, because the organization had multiple chapters throughout a region or even throughout the country. Like, what if you get involved with the food bank? Well, there's food banks all across the country. So you can create an event and a relationship with your hometown food bank, and then use the work that you did as a template to go out to other food banks around the area, around your region, around your country, and end up having multiple tour dates. But all of it with the idea that you teach the organization how to help get sponsors, so that one of those items on the budget is called artist fee. So the artist fee is paid for not through ticket sales, but through sponsorships that the organization gets and that the sponsor gets their tax deduction because it's to a nonprofit, and then the nonprofit pays you the fee coming from the sponsorship, so that when you ultimately end up, you, as an artist, you know that you've done something great for an organization. You've helped them raise money because you had a budget, so now you're raising more money, or the goal is to raise more money, and you create a plan, as opposed to just, oh, we want to have this concert, and all the artists in town are donating their time and effort, and then nobody has a plan, nobody has a budget, nobody has a end goal in mind, nobody's gone out and gotten sponsors. So everybody ends up, making a couple of $100. I mean, that doesn't do very much, and everybody spent a lot of, the artists have spent a lot of time and energy donating, but yet it hasn't really made a difference.
Sounds like the old model is almost like a checklist type item. Have we hit all these? And oh no, it's 20 minutes before we start, we need to hit a couple checklists. Where what you're suggesting, like the Jeri's out of the box thinking here, is where not only is there a win-win, there's several wins across, and you're creating a vehicle for promotion, you're creating a vehicle for good works, for community outreach, and everyone's benefiting exponentially.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. I mean, I don't know, you got some time?
Sure, go for it.
So one example was when the Student Nurses Association, the Virginia Nursing Association here in my town, one of the nurses, who was a friend of mine, asked if I would help them put together a benefit. And I just happened to have met in New Orleans this amazing jazz artist who also happened to be a nurse. In fact, her name was the Jazz Nurse. So she had an incredible band, and she was, it was just wonderful. So I said, sure, I'll help you. But we started doing this a year in advance. This plan was, we were trying to do it so that it would happen 3 months out, and I said, this is too tight. You're not going to have enough time to put it together. So we spent 8 months putting together this event, got things lined up in time to get a free hall, to get onto one of the college their season, and so it was on their poster for free, and all of the things, because we had time, because we had a good cause. It was to raise money for a scholarship program for student nursing. I mean, it had everything going for it, so that by the time we finished with all our committees and everybody doing their part, we had raised over $4,000 before we ever opened the doors for tickets.
Wow.
So we had everything paid for, the room was paid for, the artist was paid for, all the things were paid for, and then the scholarship made a bunch of money to start their fund. And so that only can happen when you have a plan, when you have people on board, when you have a good cause to help, make the community, get the community excited. And so part of that whole thing was, if I had brought this artist from New Orleans and just done a straight concert, would have never gotten the publicity that I got. We were on Clear Channel. We were on every talk show in, television, radio talk show, all over the place. And the artist came in advance to do all these, talk shows and music shows, along with the people from the organization. So it made a huge difference being hooked up with a nonprofit cause that was interesting and meaningful to the community, and it made a difference in how that artist got presented to our community. She had audience, she had media. We would have never gotten that if it was just a straight concert, just to promote the artist. So all around, working with a cause and working with an organization and having that kind of long-term plan in place really makes a difference in how the artist gets seen within the media and within the community, and how the organization raises much more money for their end goals. So I really see that artists have that ability if they want to become affiliated with some cause that's meaningful to them. But it is a commitment, but the commitment pays off in spades. I mean, it just pays off so much more than just kind of plopping into a benefit just because you were asked. You know?
And one of the key things I'm hearing you say is that planning piece. I mean, you know, in the first part of the interview, you're talking about know the audience, but also that planning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the key factor for any successful career, successful launch of anything. You know, business. You know, it's 80% planning, and then you finally get to go and do what you do. But I mean, if you don't have the planning in place, then you're kind of running a career haphazardly. And so for touring, you know, the biggest advice for artists that I'm constantly giving is plan 2 years in advance.
Wow, I got to work on that. I still like the ad lib on stage, on radio, but you're right. 80% of it has to be planning. If you don't plan, you're not at the interview on the radio.
You can ad lib, you know, but I will tell you right now that a really fabulous artist, and I've watched this for years with my artists, is planned out. It looks like it's ad-libbed, but it's all planned out. You know, I mean, it's set up. You know, there's some ad-libbing that happens, but you can only ad-lib well if you know where you're going with it. You know, if you really have it down pat, and if you know yourself as an artist and how you can banter easily. But you know, so much of it it's planned. I mean, it's well rehearsed. Let's say it's not necessarily, but it's well rehearsed, so that ad lib is comfortable, is easy flowing. It looks really natural, you know.
Exactly. I keep picturing a path, even if it's a windy path or the yellow brick path as far as Wizard of Oz. And you can kind of dance a little bit on that path, but you still have to have that path so you're not over in the field somewhere completely off topic and not where you're going in the final direction.
Right. Absolutely. So, you know, so I really encourage artists to think about their community and what's in their community. You know, what kind of organizations, what kind of markets that they could tap into that are not necessarily, you know, the club down the street, you know, or the performing arts center up on the hill, you know, but something, you know, that is an organization or a even businesses or a cause that is going to add meaning to their purpose as an artist.
Excellent. Well, you've certainly inspired me. I want to, since we're done, I'm looking for opportunities to reach out and help the community. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We have Jeri Goldstein, woman extraordinary. There is no description that fits Jeri in all of her essence. Thank you so much for joining us on a Seaside Records interview.
Great.